So Arsenal made it through to the FA Cup fourth round, but it certainly wasn't easy. This is the Arsenal v Newcastle match review. Hello, my name is Richard. Welcome back to my channel over and over and over again, the Positive Arsenal channel. In this video, we can look back on yesterday's FA Cup win against Newcastle here at the Emirates Stadium. Just while I do that, make sure that you are subscribing to my channel. If you enjoy what I do and you like some good positive Arsenal content, please click on the button down in the corner there to subscribe to the channel. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up as well. And if you've got any comments at all to make about the game yesterday, the performance in general, or anything to do with Arsenal, please drop them in the comments box below, as I do love to hear from you guys as well. So in terms of the team selection, then there were 7 changes from the side that beat West Bromwich Albion 4-0 in the Premier League last weekend. A lot of them were expected changes as well. So in goal, Leno kept his place. Of course, he hasn't really got any competition now, has he? With Matt Macy out on loan and our reserve goalkeeper Alex Renarson not really up to the job. At the back, at right back, where Bellerin was replaced by Cedric Suarez and Rob Holding dropped out and David Luiz came back in following his recent illness. The other two in the back four were the same as the previous couple of games. So Pablo Mari in the centre and Kieran Tierney, of course, at left back. I was a little surprised that Tierney got to start this game. He's played a lot of football lately. I thought maybe it was time to maybe give him a rest, but no, he was in the team and it turned out to be a good decision in the end because he did produce a good performance. In midfield, we sort of changed our system slightly. Mohamed El-Neni was in, just sitting in front of the defence, and then there was 2 just in front of him, which was Willian and Joe Willock. And the 3 up front was Gabriel Martinelli on the left, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang in the centre and Nicolas Pepe on the right. Unfortunately, Martinelli got a bad injury during the warm-up. It looked like an ankle injury or possibly knee, and he had to pull out of the game. In fact, he looked in a lot of pain, and the news is that he may well be out now for another 3 or 4 weeks, which is really bad news because he's just come back from injury. He looks like he's going to be out again, so disappointing for him. So it was Reiss Nelson who came into the side on that left-hand side of the front 3. On the bench, we had a lot of good players to come on, such as Emile Smith-Rowe, Bukayo Saka, Alexander Lacazette, Ainsley Maitland-Niles was on the bench as well. But there was no sign of Florent Balogun actually on the bench, which was a bit of a surprise. Eddie Nketiah was, interest from him from Wolves and West Ham, but he was on the bench in this game, but no Balogun. I'm not quite sure why. There is talk of him obviously maybe leaving the club, and maybe that's the reason, but he's going to leave, isn't he, if he's not getting opportunities to even get on the bench in a game like this. So let's be honest, it wasn't the most inspired performance, was it, from Arsenal? In fact, it was very much more like the kind of form that we've been witnessing in the Premier League up until Christmas, really. Very, very poor. No surprise, really, when you've got a midfield of El-Neni, Willock, Willian and Pepe. There was no real inspiration out of any of those players there, and it was no surprise that the performance was very flat. In fact, when you put Reiss Nelson into the mix as well, there's 5 players there in important areas of the pitch that just aren't really good enough. And that was so clear from the start of this game. Arsenal lacked inspiration, lacked creativity. And I say it was very much like many of those Premier League performances in October and November and the first part of December as well. It wasn't until, of course, later on in the second half when we brought on the young players who've made such an impact. Emile Smith-Rowe, of course, Bukayo Saka, Granit Xhaka came on as well, made a big impact. And suddenly we looked like a much better team, and we look much more like the team that had won our previous 3 league games. It's quite worrying though, isn't it, that we have to rely on these young players to give us that inspiration. I've got to be honest with you, Willian again was absolute waste of time. I was so excited when we signed him from Chelsea over the summer. Thought he'd been a great addition to our squad. With the experience that he had, the quality that he's shown for Chelsea over the last few years, but he's been really, really poor. It's almost like he doesn't really want to be here. He's going through the motions and he's just not good enough. How he keeps getting selected, I do not know. Surely now Arteta's got to realise that having Willian in the team is like playing with 10 players. Unfortunately, you could have to say the same about Nicolas Pepe as well. He's had plenty of chances now over the last 18 months. He's got some lovely things about him, some nice touches of the ball, but unfortunately, all too often, when he gets into the final third, his decision making is poor. He's not contributing enough at all to the team, and you could see the difference it made as soon as Willian went off and as soon as some of these younger players came on, how much better we looked. The game itself, the 90 minutes was really, really poor actually. It looked like a game between two mid-table Premier League teams, which I suppose essentially is what it was. And you could really tell that the lack of quality from both teams. To be fair, Newcastle had a bit more of a go at it in the second half, and they perhaps missed the two best chances of the game. Both fell to Andy Carroll, who actually I thought had a really good game for Newcastle. The first one, the offside flag was up. The replay showed he wasn't, and from about 6 yards out with the whole goal to aim at, he put it wide of the post. And then, of course, in the very, very last minute of the 90, would have been a great chance to win it for Newcastle. It was a counter-attack. The ball fell to him at the far post, again on his left foot. You'd imagine he was going to put that away. But in the end, it was a good save from Bernd Leno, actually, to keep it out. In extra time, Newcastle looked as though they'd run out of steam. They only had 7 players on the bench instead of 9, due to having to withdraw 2 players on the day before the match. And they did run out of steam a lot in extra time, and we began to get on top. See, the young players that we brought on, Smith Rowe and Saka in particular, started to have a real impact on the game. And in the end, it did take a little bit of extra quality from Smith Rowe to make the important breakthrough in the second period of extra time. A lovely goal it was. Yes, it was a mistake at the back from Kieran Clark, who had a good game for Newcastle. He maybe dwelled on the ball too long. Smith Rowe took advantage, played it into Saka. His ball forwards was flicked on by Lacazette. It fell to Smith Rowe, a lovely touch on his chest and a fantastic finish across the goalkeeper into the far post. In fact, it went in off the far post. A really good goal. And it was obvious at that point then that Arsenal were going to go through. Newcastle had nothing left to give. And then in the end, of course, right at the very end, we did get a second goal. Lovely ball from Granit Xhaka to put Kieran Tierney down left-hand side, and his drilled cross into the near post was turned home by Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and he was able to score a rare goal actually this season. He's not been scoring, has he, at all? So hopefully this can give him a lift. It's his first goal since back in December when he scored against Southampton. So hopefully this can set him on a run again of goal scoring, which we do need him to be doing. It was a simple finish, but he had to be in there to take advantage of it. And overall, I don't think Aubameyang had a particularly bad game. We could have actually won by a few more goals, possibly. We could have had a penalty in extra time, couldn't we, on a foul on Aubameyang by Kieran Clark. It would have been soft, perhaps. You could see why it might have been given. The referee didn't give it. And then there was, of course, that red card, wasn't there, right at the very end of 90 minutes for Emile Smith Rowe. Ironic in the end, wasn't it? After that was overturned, it would be him that scored the goal. I think it was the right decision. It wasn't a red card. He was falling backwards when he tried to make the challenge. It probably looks a lot worse than it was at first glance. But I say the replays proved that it wasn't a red card. It was the right decision. And I don't think Newcastle can have too many complaints when it was him, of course, that scored that important goal. So in the end, we have got through. When it comes to the FA Cup, the most important thing is the end result, isn't it? You just got to win your games and get through. It doesn't matter how well you play, doesn't matter how many goals you win by, you just have to get through. And we did. We took advantage of the fact that there's no replays this year, and that it's just straight to extra time. I think that definitely benefited us. A very tired Newcastle team. Had it gone to a replay, may have been a completely different story. So we took advantage of that. We're into the hat for the 4th round draw, which obviously is tomorrow. I think we need to hope that we avoid some of the big names. I don't think we're in the right sort of form yet. If we're going to go on another cup run, I'm not sure we're quite ready yet to take on some of the big boys and beat them, but we'll see. We've certainly done well in this competition, haven't we, in recent years? Arteta's got a great record as well. I just feel as though this performance yesterday really showed up a lot more of the problems than anything else, really. And I say it took the intervention of the young guys from the bench to win us this match. So man of the match, and yeah, I mean, I think there's a few candidates. It wasn't a great performance overall, but a few players I thought did a good job. I mean, I think Leno needs great credit for that save right at the end. He didn't have a lot to do, and it was important that he stayed alert. And he looked pretty comfortable, everything that he had to do in the game. But that save at the end from Andy Carroll, really important. So I wanted to give him a mention. Thought David Luiz did well. His return to the side. Some of his long balls out of defence were really great for us to launch a few counter-attacks. And next to him, Pablo Mari really settled in now, hasn't he? This is probably 4th or 5th game in a row he's played. Looked really, really solid. He's getting better and better of every game. So that was really good to see. The midfield were very weak. No one in midfield deserves much of a mention at all, really. Certainly the ones that started the game, and equally up in the front three as well. I thought Aubameyang had a decent game overall. I thought he worked hard, and he did finally get his goal as well. Of course, the substitutes made the biggest impact, didn't they? Smith Rowe, another great performance from him, and a great goal as well. Bukayo Saka as well, fantastic performance when he came on. And Lacazette as well, I think deserves a lot of credit. He did really well in the few minutes he was on, set up the important opening goal. You can tell his confidence is back. And also Granit Xhaka as well. I thought he played well when he came off the bench. But for me, there can only be one man in the match in this game. He had a fantastic performance again. He's developing into probably the most consistent left back in the Premier League, following on actually from a whole list of fantastic Arsenal left backs over the years, going back to maybe Bob McNabb in the 1960s. Of course, it's Kieran Tierney, another fantastic performance, an assist again for the second goal. But just his all-round attitude, his all-round performance again. He's becoming an 8, 9 out of 10 every single week, isn't he? He never puts in a bad performance. Going forward, he's unbelievable. His delivery into the box, his attitude is spot on. Defensively, he's sound. And he's definitely got himself up there as one of the best left backs in Europe, I would say, at the moment, not only in the Premier League. So another fantastic performance from him. So the man of the match in this game has to go to Kieran Tierney. So yeah, I mean, I say the FA Cup's all about winning and getting through to the next round, and we did that. So it wasn't pretty, and it did show up a lot of the weaknesses that we've got in our squad. You can see the work that needs to be done. We need to get rid of 6, 7, 8 players. We need to bring in some better quality if we're really going to progress. There's a few players that started this game that clearly aren't good enough to take Arsenal forward. The likes of Joe Willock, the likes of Reece Nelson, and of course Willian and Nicolas Pepe. None of those four are really up to the job. And until we can get rid of players like this and bring in some better quality, unfortunately, we're going to find it difficult to progress. But the FA Cup has proved a good competition for us. I think we've got enough about us to win a one-off game against most teams. Let's hope we can go on a good run now, maybe track down another FA Cup success, our 15th. That would be great, wouldn't it? But there's still a lot of work to do. Of course, we're back in Premier League action, aren't we, on Thursday night against Crystal Palace. Another difficult game against a team that's caused us problems, of course, in the past. And before, of course, we meet Newcastle again, don't we, next Monday in the Premier League. So if we can come out of these next 2 league games with 6 points, let's see what the FA Cup draw brings us, and hopefully things can look a little bit more optimistic. But let's not let it cover up the problems that we've got in the squad at the moment. A lot of players are not good enough, and it's a big job that Arteta's got and the club have got, actually, if we're going to get back to something now where we all want us to be, which is challenging in the top 4, challenging for major honours, and possibly getting back into the Champions League. So that's it then. That's my review of yesterday's match against Newcastle United. I say not the greatest match, but we got through. Sometimes you just got to win the games and move on, haven't you? And that's what we've done. Let's hope that the 2 league games coming up this week can bring a little bit more excitement, and we can continue our good run. 4 wins in a row can't be sniffed at with the run that we've been on this season, so we need to be pleased about that. Let's just not go over the top with this, because it wasn't a great performance and it needs to improve. Let's hope that the team selection for Thursday night against Crystal Palace is a lot more in line with the team that started against West Bromwich Albion. Let's hope as well that Gabriel Martinelli's injury is not as bad as feared, and that he's back in the team again very, very soon, because he's a great player and he's going to give everybody a lift again like he did when he came back just before Christmas. So that's it there. I say please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, and by clicking on the button down in the corner there. Give this video a thumbs up as well. So if you've got any comments at all about anything to do with that match yesterday or anything about Arsenal, please drop them in the comments box as well. It's always nice to hear from you guys. Stay tuned to the channel as well. I'll have some great stuff coming up this week. Of course, building up to the Crystal Palace game. I'll be hoping to get a Crystal Palace fan on to look ahead to that game as well, with all the usual features as well. And of course, I'll be doing a watch along of that game as well on Thursday evening. And in the meantime, of course, as we head towards another busy week, still in the FA Cup, thankfully, as well. Come on, you Gunners!